Right, it is time for Street Talk for our 3-day week of Coronation Street.
But what a lot they packed in, because there's 7 different things to talk about.
Yes.
Like, Stu's been framed. And then we've got Hi Summer, which is all about Summer and her antics. Then Ken makes a play for Wendy, literally and figuratively. Then we've got Bye Bye Bailey, because what's-his-face is gone. I've forgotten his name already. And then we've got
Haven't seen this.
Mooks, Mock? Who's Mooks? Mocks?
Mooks, you know, like a bunch of mooks. What a bunch of mooks they are.
They're called Mooks, aren't they?
Mooks then. What a bunch of mooks.
Nobody says that in this
Mocks,
country.
Max.
No, it doesn't work in our accent.
I don't care, that's what we're calling it. There's been a murder is our second to last storyline. And then we had a little bit of Double Trouble in here this week as well. I know I said I want this to be a short one, but you don't need to...
What's Double Trouble about?
Bernie and Fern.
I
Fern wasn't
watched
in
a
it
good
this week,
movie.
but she was on a phone tour.
I've been watching one scary movie a day the whole month of October. That's
Are you
my
doing
goal.
it? Is that your... Oh, nice.
And yesterday I watched one called Good Night, Mommy. And that had twins in it, and they were double trouble. I can tell you that.
Mommy.
Well, because it's not mummy, is it? They're American.
Oh, okay.
Good Night, Mommy.
Recommended?
I'll give it 3 out of 5. I'll give it 3 sexy cyborgs out of 5.
But now you've just got rid of the only option I could think of this week for what I'm going to score this week's Coronation Street at, Gemma. Now we don't know what we're going to do. So 3 for Gemma's film this week. Is Coronation Street going to beat it?
I've also been watching
I'm going to say maybe not. Just a little preview. I thought that although last week's episode and the week before actually were pretty high octane stuff, this week did not enjoy quite so much. What about you?
I also have seen Dashcam, but not the one by the guy who did host, a different one, which I was tricked into watching, but it was alright. Dead Snow, brilliant.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know why it took me so long to watch that, but it's great. Werewolves Within, which is a new one.
Dead Snow before.
No, we haven't.
I think we have.
No, we haven't.
Okay.
Nope, which is me telling you shut up, also a film that Michael fell asleep to. Hocus Pocus 2 and My Best Friend's Exorcism.
Hocus Pocus 2 rating?
3 out of 3 sexy cyborgs.
So anyway, Coronation Street this week, Gemma?
I'll give it...
So-so? Don't
2.5
give it a score. Don't
sexy
give it a score, Perez. Oh my gosh, stop it. You've blown your load, Gemma.
Are you gonna... You can't...
I'll do Stupid
It's
Framed.
physically impossible.
I'll do Stupid Framed. So, it was all about him this week, and there was some exciting bit. Actually, Mondays I didn't think so bad, because we get to see Stu meeting Eliza, didn't we? His lovely granddaughter Eliza, and... that had some quite sweet moments in there, because he's getting all bit kind of a jitter, isn't he, about this family reunion. Has he ever... Actually, no, he's never met Eliza before, has he? So it's going to be lovely. Meanwhile, Alya, being a bit of a busybody... Had he? I don't remember. Anyway, Alya's over... Alya comes over later and says, right...
bloody sticking a roar in everywhere.
Bloody is, isn't she? She says, right, Dee-Dee wants you to move on to the next stage in Operation Clear Stu's Name. And Yasmin says, yeah, go and speak to her, because... You know, she says to Alya, you go and speak to her, because Stu has got Eliza on his mind right now. And that is basically Yasmin giving permission for Alya to be an utter meddler and not to drop it. I think it was like she's some sort of robot, Alya, and because Yasmin programmed this into her to speak to Dee-Dee, she's like, you didn't tell me not to speak to her anymore, so I'm just going to carry on and make a mischief nuisance of myself all week. So, Bridget and Eliza turn up at... Can't remember, where was it? Speed Dial? I'm going to say Speed Dial. Could have been number 6. I don't know. Anyway, before... Oh, yeah. Stu's got looking at pictures of Eliza's kittens. That was nice. And he's given her a heart necklace. It's all very heartwarming and lovely. I very much enjoyed that. Meanwhile, Alya is going over to go and see Dee-Dee at number 3. Dee-Dee, the lawyer. Week 2. What do we think of her so far? Find out in a little bit. Anyway, she says... that the only evidence... she says that all of the evidence needs sending back off for retesting. So when Alya and Zidane were pretty much wall-to-wall looking through the papers this past, I'm going to say 5 years, it feels like, they didn't notice that maybe some of the evidence wasn't tested, including Charlie's bag.
Why did they think... Right, honestly, what did they think they were going to see that they would be able to work out was relevant? Like, some thing that says... Stu didn't do it. I think I said this last week with like a cross through it going...
Well, I mean, Alya pretty much saved the factory single-handedly with her idea of coloured sports bras, didn't she? So she might also be a top detective, who knows? But anyway, so Charlie's bag needs retesting on it. It didn't have Stu's DNA on it, but they apparently didn't test to see whose DNA it was covered in. That's going to be relevant later on. So, meanwhile, back at Speed Dial or wherever, Stu's learning all about the instruments that Eliza plays. She's very musically talented. And then Alya comes down and says, Yasmin, Dee-Dee's Dee-Dee has made a
we should have
DNA
called
discovery. Dee-Dee DNA.
We should have called it D-Day when she came.
We should have called it Dee-Dee.
Well, wait till she leaves. We can call it D-Day then.
So Dee-Dee's DNA discovery. This is going to solve the case. We've cracked it. It's all going to be fine from here. But it's going to cost a lot of moolah. And I don't know, I'm not keeping track of these characters' finances. One minute they've got absolutely no problem with it. The next minute haven't got 2 pennies to rub together. But apparently they can't afford this at the moment. So then, sad times. Lucy comes down into speed dial. That's the daughter, isn't it? That's Stu's daughter, Lucy.
Who's Bridget then?
Oh no, sorry, no.
Bridget's
I'm
the
wrong.
daughter.
Yes, Bridget's the daughter. Lucy's
wife.
the wife, the ex-wife. She is not happy with what she has found.
Those
this cozy
ex-lives.
little family reunion.
Ex-wives are worse, aren't they?
I know. She has got a hard face, that Lucy, hasn't she? I've definitely done it. I reckon. No, actually. I don't know if she did it.
She did do it, I reckon.
I don't know.
Didn't they say at the end of the week, like, don't tell anyone we've done it?
No, they almost.
What did they say?
It was the end of, I'll get there because it's the end of Tuesday.
I wasn't listening.
I'll tell you. Lucy says, Bridget and Eliza, what the hell are you doing here? Bog off. Stop talking with that dirty old man there. And Bridget's like,
Rude.
No, I don't need to listen to you. I'm here on a lovely time with me dad. It's great, actually. And then Lucy takes that opportunity to reveal to Eliza that Grandad used to be in prison and kind of then flounces off having dropped that bomb.
You can tell that Eliza's a boring child because she didn't go, cool! Did you kill anyone? And then everyone's like, this is really awkward. But no, he didn't.
Eliza's a bit of a grown-up Elsie, I'm going to say. She's pretty much just like a perfect little angel girl.
She's a proto-Summer.
Yeah.
You've got to be careful because if she gets too old, she'll get boring.
She'll get boring, but then she'll get fun again by having hash brownies. So watch out for that one. Bridget says, okay, this is a little bit awkward actually. Let's go. Stu, obviously very upset by this turn of events.
Oh no, my secret's been revealed.
I don't know what... I meant to rewatch this, but I can't remember. Maybe people can tell me. But Alya picked up on something that Bridget said earlier about, I think, maybe...
She's like...
I've got a secret. We better not tell them it.
She said... You definitely did do the crime that I secretly did do, but don't tell anybody. I'm leaving.
Alya's like,
like, hang on a minute.
Do you know something about this case? And Bridget's like, no, I don't need anything. Don't know anything, I mean. Lucy wants to go, and Alya says, you've got something to hide, you cow. And they all go, and Alya is left saying, I will solve this mystery.
She's killed a man for having
Who's killed
Sudan?
a man?
That man who died.
Oh yeah, Hashim. Maybe she's just doing this to assuage her conscience. She's been feeling guilty about letting Hashim... I completely forgot about that. Is that amazing heart attack?
Butter wouldn't melt in her mouth, but she's actually more of a murderer than Stu is.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait a minute.
She's about on the same level of murdering as Kelly Nealon, so lock her up is what I say.
I think we should go through, not today, obviously, because we're busy, but go through every character one by one, just remembering how many people they've killed or been responsible for their deaths.
Or just been around and not prevented their deaths, maybe, yeah. Anyway, so Stu later on gets a text from Eliza saying, oh, tar for the necklace, love meeting you, so she's all cool with that. So Stu's kind of fears are assuaged a little bit. Assuaged again.
I know.
So Alya tells her and Stu about her suspicions over Bridget, and Stuart says, no, look, they weren't even involved in this investigation. It was nothing to do with them. All they know about what happened is what came out in court. So Alya's like, well, that's no good. I'm going to go and talk to Dee-Dee about this.
Like,
Dee-Dee's very interested.
There are 4 characters that were involved in this murder. One of them has got dementia, so we can't pin it on him because that would look really bad in the script. And then one of them said he didn't do it and we're on his side, so it must be the other 2, logically. But
we heard about some other characters. Was it this week or last week? I can't remember. There was like not a brother or was it a boyfriend or just a child.
Murdery Bob.
There were a couple of other characters that got brought in
Steve.
there. Yeah. But you're right, I think if it's not one of these
Rapey Raymond,
very small number of characters who is involved in it, it'll be like, oh.
What was the name of the girl that Charlie? Yeah. Charlie's hanging around with lots of unsavoury characters. Don't want to victim blame though, so it's not her fault.
So Dee-Dee's like, yes,
all
I'm
saying
on the case.
Though is if you do hang around with a bunch of people, all of whom definitely could have murdered you if you go missing. It's a bit worrying.
That's very true.
It's a bit. Maybe you should.
Yeah, don't hang around with a bunch of sly people. You're
it's
just
okay.
bringing it on yourself, really.
It's okay to not have friends.
Dee-Dee says, right, if Lucy knew about Stu and Charlie's affair, maybe that would have given her motive for bumping off Charlie.
Oh.
So
what? Oh yeah.
Lucy, yeah.
Yeah. Lucy the
Lucy, the wife of Stu. Hang on a minute. He's
done a shagging.
He's bonking.
I'll do a murder.
Mouth and groin. This
what?
Charlie the chef. I'm going to kill her off.
Why did you say that?
We were talking about mouth bonking earlier, weren't we? With what's her
Were
face?
you?
Yes, you never listened
I'm
to
eating a
anything that I
tomato.
said. Maria and Marcus. Yeah?
Michael, mouth bonking is not the same as kissing, and I think a lot of people listening have just had horrible images conjured in their minds, completely unasked for.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Anyway, moving on. I'm such a naive angel. Anyway, Alya returns to
filthy.
Yasmin and says, right, we need cash.
We're going to have to...
Where's this money tree that we can shake?
Explicit on our...
No, it's all
not,
SFW.
It's not PG.
Yasmin says... Oh yeah, Yasmin's like, I know somebody who can give me money. And I'm like, oh, who could it be? Oh, is she going to try to hit up Sharif for a bit of cash or something?
That's what I thought.
Or maybe Sonia.
I thought she was going to talk to her family. She's got a rich
past?
family.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's just local rich person, supposedly, Stephen Reed. Little does Yasmin know that he has also got no moolah. And he says...
He's like, no, but if you find where any money is, let me know.
Yeah, well, Stu comes along before Stephen gets a chance to get much of an answer out, and he's like, "Hey, we can't ask Stephen for that. Let's go back to Speed Down, sort it out ourselves."
Perfect.
And then they go back down to the restaurant, and Stu says, "Look, I'm not pursuing this case anymore. This is driving a wedge between me and my family. I just want to put the past in the past. I'm out of prison. Let's forget about it. My family is more important to me, and I quite like to have a nice relationship with my granddaughter, actually." So, this is at the end of the episode where we get, very rare, no Coronation Street main character scene with Bridget and Lucy. So they're getting home to wherever they live, and it looks very much
by a big hedge.
Looks very much like the place where Grasmere Drive is. And Lucy says, right.
Maybe they live in the hedge.
They don't. We saw the house.
Oh.
Lucy says, right, I'm not going to be spending my life behind bars just because you slip up and blab to Daddy. So, this is where it's kind of backing up Dee-Dee's idea that maybe Lucy has done something wrong there. Perhaps even been the one to stick the knife into Charlie's back, or however it was she died. I don't remember.
I think it's not going to be...
I don't think that's true.
What?
I reckon it's Lennox. I think it's Lennox.
Well, I think that they know... I think they know who did it.
Yeah.
Because they would be a bit casual about it if they actually did murder her.
Yeah,
but I think that would be cooler.
This scene
and I would respect her
absolutely confirmed that they know exactly what happened and they're not letting on. So,
can
Tuesday,
I just say,
yes,
Bridget is an absolute little crap hole. If she let her dad stay in prison for 27 years for a crime that she knows for a fact she didn't commit just because her mum's shouting at her...
Yeah.
She deserves to go to prison.
Well, it depends. Like, did Lucy always know about it? I've kind of lost... How old's Lucy meant to be? Older than 27. But maybe she didn't know about it all at the time.
What, do you think that her mum sat her down and went, right, you're 21 now, do you want to hear a secret?
Family secret time.
Right, here's a box of bones.
Right, so Tuesday, Stu is back moping again. And Alya is still convinced that Bridget knows something. Stu's like, no, I told you the end of last episode, and it was only yesterday. We didn't even have to wait 48 hours for this one, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I really want to rebuild bridges, forget about this whole appeal thing. And then I got turned off a character that I quite like. Devendra, Alahan. He's a massive ass to Stu in the street, isn't he?
Yeah.
And I get that it's like the script writer saying, oh, everybody's against Stu, but come on, not Dev.
I reckon
Dev's a legend.
I love Dev. I didn't like that they used him for this, but I assume it's because they needed him to be in some episodes because he hasn't had enough this year.
I wouldn't say that it's completely out of character for him either. I mean, he's
an arse.
He is, and he can be judgmental, and he's just had his own run-ins with near murder himself, hasn't he? So he's all very kind of fraught and everything, but I didn't like this, and he does the same again later. Anyway,
like, you're a murderer.
I'll forgive you, Dev, if you do something funny next week.
And Yasmin says, no, he's not, you're horrible.
Yasmin says, go away. Stu, don't worry about it. Dev's just an idiot. And Stu says, no, he's just a normal person. And normal people are always going to see me as a murderer. And it's like, well, most people won't, because most people don't know you, but never mind.
Most people wouldn't really think about it.
No, not really.
I can say it's usually a safe bet especially if you're a woman, just assume everyone's a murderer.
Yeah, you'd be right some of the time, I suppose.
Yeah.
Anyway, she sends him off to the supply. Meanwhile, Dee-Dee gets some good news on Stu's case. Do we know what that means?
Ed's going...
Oh, yes.
Well, it's the two with the DNA.
news,
and Ed's like, oh, you're working with a convicted murderer. And she's like, have you never seen anything about a miscarriage of justice ever?
Have you never seen anything that I do?
As a black man, do you not think that it's possible the police sometimes fit people up?
Yeah, exactly. I think it felt less... it felt more natural and less... I got less annoyed about Ed saying that because he wasn't saying it to Stu's face. I think he was...
Well, yeah.
Understandably concerned, but equally,
I'd
your daughter's a lawyer. She's generally going to be working with a whole variety of people that have been convicted of something, or not charged with something.
Depends on what her area of expertise is.
Well, yes, exactly. I guess we find out. We know that she's good at football law. Let's see how
she
well she
knows all
does
about every law there's ever been, which is how it works.
So Alya meets up with Dee-Dee later, and this is where the lies begin. Alya just can't let it drop because she knows best, and she says, "Oh yes, Stu's asked you to talk to just me now. Don't bother him about it.
Never talk to him again.
I am now Stu's representative under you, his legal representative." So.
And then she tells Stu, don't talk to anybody about this.
She says to him, look, I've told Dee-Dee I want to drop the case, so as far as I'm concerned, it's all done. We're all moving on, aren't we? Isn't it lovely, hunky-dory with your family? And then she says, oh, but maybe I could go and speak to Lucy myself, baby, to say sorry for yesterday. And he's like, no, just no, that's probably going to make things worse. She's a nasty cow.
It's like, I don't know if you think you've got any charisma, Alya, but you don't.
Yeah, imagine Alya charming anyone into anything. Apart from
Who?
Hunky Matt.
Hunky Matt
last month, very...
He's got something wrong with him, that boy. Maybe he's a murderer.
Maybe
she's his next victim.
She needs to use the same... What happened to Hunky Matt? What's happened to Ryan and Alya? I don't know.
What's happened to Abby?
Where is Abby? That's very true. Apart from the one sitting on my lap.
I think Wendy's murdered her.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, she was the last person to see her alive, probably.
Well, we're back in August when we were in Manchester, and we met Sally Carmen, didn't we? And we were like, oh, are you filming? And she's like, oh no, I'm not filming for ages actually. And I thought, oh well, that's sad, but at least we'll get to see her a little bit. No, literally. Maybe one scene it feels like of Abby in the past 2 or 3 months.
This is why it literally makes no sense when they write characters out for like a play or something.
Yeah,
like don't bother. People, we're all goldfish. We will not remember.
We did get a lovely story of Evelyn leaving last week, didn't we?
Moving on.
So later on, Eliza's showed up again. She's run away from home because Gran's being horrible and Mum keeps crying. What should they do? Oh, should they phone the police? Should they phone Lucy? Should they phone Bridget? It's going to make things worse. Oh my gosh, what drama this is. Stu decides, right, we better phone Bridget. Can't get hold of her. But then they use Eliza's phone and Lucy picks up. So clearly she doesn't want to be speaking to Stu right now. So he tricked her. What a con artist. Ergo, probably a murderer. Exactly. So Stu goes walking down the street later and then yet again gets massively harassed by Dev. I feel so bad for Jimmy Harkison having to be such a doo-doo head this week.
It must be quite fun to shout at people.
Yeah, but I did not. He's like he just harasses this guy who's walking down the street
with his kid as well. Like, watch out, kid! You're gonna get murdered. That's what he does.
I don't know whether Dev knows that Eliza is Stu's granddaughter. There's no particular reason, is there, that he should know?
Yeah, but Michael, if you don't,
so maybe
you kind of assume. Otherwise, it's even worse. Like, why is this man with a random child?
Yeah, and he just harasses her into the house and's like, right, they're out of my sight, so I don't mind about it anymore. I don't know what he's gonna get.
Ask no questions. That's my motto.
Out of sight, out of mind, says Dev. And then but Ed does come along and tell Dev to leave them alone.
Shut up, you annoying dick.
Lucy and Bridget turn up to number 6 later to pick up Eliza, and Alya says, oh, hello Lucy and Bridget, how lovely to see you again. Stay for tea. Great. Stu says, oh yeah, we've instructed my lawyer to drop the case and everything. And they're like, oh, wonderful.
Oh, we will stay for tea.
We will stay for tea then if you're not suspecting us of being murderesses anymore.
I like the way they're like, you have accepted that you're a murderer, so I'm definitely going to eat dinner in your house now.
They are basically saying that, haven't you? You've realised, you've seen the error of your ways, and you did do it. What's the meat in this sandwich, please, before I bite into it?
What's the meat in this sandwich?
So, Alya again, on the case. She's in the orangery later, swiping one of Lucy's lipsticks so she can get her DNA. How many characters on Coronation Street have swiped something to do a DNA test on someone over the course of the show? That's what I want to know as well. It's usually for Who's the Daddy storylines. But anyway, Zidane's like, what the hell are you doing? We don't want to be doing this. Leave it alone. So the case is dropped.
That lipstick would look terrible on you anyway.
Yes, not at all your colour, Alya. After dinner, Alya's grilling the ladies again about why they're here. She's kind of like saying, oh yeah, it was a nice dinner anyway. Anyway, why are you here? Because you think Stu's a murderer and you're breaking bread with him. What's going on there? And Lucy's like, I think he's paid his dues. I think he's
I believe in the integrity of the criminal justice system.
Yeah, he's no longer a threat to society. Exactly. But it all gets a little bit awkward and Yasmin calls Alya back out into the kitchen. And so they have their dinner together. There's all time to go later on. They say they'll be in touch, but Stu does not believe it. So towards the end of the episode, Alya and Dee-Dee again, sneaky meet up. And Alya's like, oh, I've got a mug here. She drank out of this mug.
I saw...
Lucy's had her mouth all over this. She's slobbered right over this
She's
thing.
like, I know how they cracked the Golden State Killer case. What? Take this mug.
Yes. So Dee-Dee gets mugged off and then says... Well, no, actually, she's not going to be mugged off, should I say. She says, police would never accept this as evidence. No good.
No, because I didn't care about justice.
No.
I just want to know the truth.
Why is this? Because it was obtained fraudulently or duplicitously or something?
Well, because, you can't just go around...
swiping people's mugs.
But I don't...
People have got to give mugs of their own volition.
It's called Fruit of the Poisonous Tree. But I think in America, the police, like... Even if you're in a, what's it called? Even if you're being interviewed and you drink out something, they can take that and get DNA off of it.
Well, it's a bit like the whole secretly recording the conversation with your mobile phone in your handbag, isn't it? Where they've had on Coronation Street before saying, we can't actually accept this as evidence, but characters like to do it anyway, just so they know.
Put it on Twitter. Yeah.
And this is what Alya says. Well, if we do the test and we would know, it's worth a shot, right? So they go ahead and try and do it, but they got to get the funds first, and that's what Wednesday. That's how I said funds, not fun. It was not fun at all. A bit dull actually. Alya and Zidane at the beginning of Wednesday's episode are talking about, oh, isn't this been so hard on Yasmin? And in the business, it's all doing rubbish. And then she gets a text from Dee-Dee saying, update, time to meet in the cafe. Come round, got something to show you. So Dee-Dee says, newsflash, I've decided I want to be a regular character on this programme. I don't want to go back to LA, but don't tell anybody because it's a bit of a secret. But yeah, I quite like it around here. Anyway, I need your signature on a form for the funds for some charity or other. So was this what is there a charity for people who want to do
wrongly
dodgy mug DNAing?
People.
And
for some reason they're completely fine with this evidence being unusable in court.
They don't need to know the details. So Alya says, oh yeah, I'll sign the form. Dee-Dee's like, oh, I don't have the form. And this is where, while we were watching it, you said, is Dee-Dee's personality just going to be she always forgets things? Because that's going to get a bit stale fast.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's just a normal character, except at the end of it, like a scene, she'll go, oh, I've just chopped my own leg off by accident. How funny and zany of me.
Yeah. Although I suppose...
Oh, I've stirred my tea with a biro.
Based on their history, this is perfect for working with Adam in the lawyer's office, because Adam and Imran and Todd before them are always leaving incriminating or private bits of evidence around, weren't they? Over on the photocopy or what have you. So I'm sure she'll fit in just fine.
There's got to be a scene where she works with Adam and she accidentally takes his important paperwork to court, and he takes her paperwork, and then they accidentally end up divorcing a murderer instead of...
Well, we'll wait and see for that to happen.
What a funny mishap.
So, anyway, she ain't got the papers, but it's alright, Alya. I'll bring her around to speed dial later.
Because later on, Dee-Dee's like, oh, I've got the paper, but the pen doesn't work. No. Can you believe this?
Yeah, so Alya says, don't come round to speed dial. I'll come and get it from you later.
And Dee-Dee's like, I don't remember any facts.
Yes.
Don't tell me anything.
Dee-Dee doesn't get that. Well, she doesn't process the message. She comes into speed dial herself later and says, oh, I was just passing. And Alya has to then kind of dance around Zidane and get these papers signed without anybody noticing.
I love the way Zidane's like, why are you here? Why are you here? I don't know. It's a restaurant.
No, I thought he said you come to have something to eat.
I know, but he's like just seems baffled that anybody would come into the restaurant.
Well, they're on hard times at the moment. They're on like one customer.
I know exactly, because he keeps every time someone comes in, he's like,
somebody.
"Why are you here?
Don't you know that Stu's a murderer?" Oops.
You want to eat murder food? Sit down then.
Anyway, Alya is kind of sitting at the table with Dee-Dee, and actually, to be fair on Sarah, I quite liked her impatient acting. She was like twitching and making her leg go all over the place, like me when I'm watching a boring film. But so Dee-Dee's there with the paperwork, and like you said, oh, the pen's not working, and I was like, I've got a pen, I'll go get a pen, it's over there. But while she's over at the till area, Zidane happens to come over, sees Dee-Dee, and basically discovers what they're up to. Dee-Dee's mad with Alya for lying because it all comes out. Dee-Dee up to this point thought that it was all, above board and everybody was okay with it. But now she knows that Alya's been lying about it. Zidane knows that she's been sneaking about and going about things against Stu's wishes and everybody's knowledge. So she's in everyone's bad books for at least 2 scenes. Because Alya then convinces Zidane that she was doing the right thing and we need Dee-Dee on her side. And that works like a treat, because before you know it, Zidane goes to find Dee-Dee and says, you know what, Dee-Dee, we should go and send that mug off for DNA testing after all. And Dee-Dee goes to Alya and says, fair enough, but I'm not doing it unless Stu agrees. I'm not doing it without his permission. Now, what did she
Well, she says, I can't do the case unless Stu agrees, but I can still send the mug off.
Yes.
Because... And like this, I feel sorry for these charity people. This feels like illegal. It's appropriation of charity funds for.
I know.
It's like, why? The charity people are like, oh, we trust you. Don't worry, everything will be fine. We believe in the good of all people.
Well, it's like a bit like the donation earlier this year, the the Find Joseph Fund, isn't it? Which was fraudulently acquired by Bernie's friend, and Nazir's involved in that as well somehow. What was that? That was Yasmin's money, wasn't it?
Nazir is just a crime family of Weatherfield, without anybody knowing.
Oh, because she'd got all this laundering money, hadn't she, Yasmin? And then she donates it to the charity. But I bet she wishes that she kept hold of it a little bit now, hasn't she? Well, that'll teach her a lesson. Won't it? Next time you're blessed by the Weatherfield money tree, Yasmin, just put a bit it under your bed, just for safekeeping next time. So this week's story. It's just
the thing is about this. Okay, I know lots of people don't like the story and they're complaining and say it's boring, and I can agree to a certain extent. But this is also, if this was like an ITV drama with like suspenseful music being played and like good-looking lady police officers who are in their mid-30s staring into the windswept seas and thinking about the poor victim, this would be quite exciting and gripping.
So what is it that's not gripping people?
It's taken too long, and
I think,
and also it's kind of hard to root for Stu, and he's like, I'm not bothered anymore.
I was gonna say it's just really, really hard to root for Alya and be on her side, and I just can't get excited about anything that Alya does, and it's a shame, and it's nothing against Sarah and her performance. I just don't find her a character that I find myself rooting for pretty much anything. Even when it was her going up against Jeff, sometimes I was like, oh, Jeff, just just kill her. Just bonk her around the head with that cash tin. That's right. So it's just because she comes across as being very righteous, self-righteous, doesn't she? And like looking
meddling.
Down she's meddler. It's like she's got literally nothing interesting in her life, so she goes meddling around.
She doesn't really have a personality either.
No,
really. Or if she does, it's a really boring one. Like,
but
what's your personality? Like, I like my family.
That kind of, but that is her personality, and that's kind of what she always was.
Not personality,
when she was brought in, she was kind of the sensible Nazir child, wasn't she? Yeah. Against Zidane's moody teenagerness.
She's kind of like Summer.
She is a bit like
she's
a grown-up
like a blank
Summer, isn't
blank
she?
slate.
So
who has struggles.
I mean, I do like Yasmin. I think that she's gone off the boil since the Jeff story. I've said that before. Zidane I used to really like, but he's just a grump. So
it's
yeah,
not
we
a great
got
bundle
a
of characters,
dull
is it?
meddler, a grump.
It's because you don't get. It's not like all the plucky. It doesn't feel like the plucky, misfits up against the system. And it's quite the same way as it would do of a different gang. Like, imagine if it was, I don't know, Kevin, Tyrone, and Abby involved in helping to win his innocence or prove his innocence. It'd be quite. I feel like they'd get into more hilarious, fun scrapes, and you'd be like, "Oh, I hope that they managed to pull this off." Whereas it's Alya, it's like.
And I think I like Stu, and he's been in it a year.
I
think this year's this week was his year anniversary actually since his first appearance, and I do like him, but. It's clouded in my mind a bit because I'm thinking, he's involved with the Nazir story.
But there's no stakes here. What's the stakes? There's no, Stu doesn't care.
Yeah, they don't serve steak.
Lucy,
at Speed, right?
Lucy and Bridget, I don't know enough about them to really care whether they got away with murder or not. This Lennox guy, I just feel bad for him.
I just think it was. I think it was him. I think they're going to say it's him.
Well, no, that's what I mean. I feel bad for him because he's. And living in a tragic existence. I don't care whether they find, because at the end of the day, even if they say, he definitely did it, he doesn't remember doing it. It's an interesting philosophical question about whether you can truly punish somebody for a crime that they genuinely don't remember ever committing. Yeah. But I don't feel like I'm that invested in solving the problem.
But, I mean, Lucy's the one that said, I don't want to spend life behind bars. So I think the fact that the way these things work is it's never the person that people immediately suspect generally. So I think it is because people are saying it's Lucy, it ain't going to be Lucy.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to be Bridget because even though, she's got some kind of secret, she seems to be innocent-ish. So I think that Lucy, I'd say Lucy, I'm still saying she was having an affair with Lennox.
Yes.
Lennox is the one who bumped off Charlie. Lucy knew about it, so even if it turns out that it was him, she's still going to get in massive trouble about it. That's why she's worried about going to jail. So the justice will be, I guess, Lucy will get sent down and Bridget... but will she get sent to prison as well? Because she's also known about it.
It depends on whether Lucy's understanding of the situation is actually correct. Because she could have been told by Lennox, if you tell anybody I did this, then you'll be culpable just as much as I am, and she believed him.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think I don't think Bridget's going to...
Bridget's a bit gormless.
Oh, I don't mind. She wears cowboy boots, don't she? She's got more personality than Alya. Just for the boots. Sorry, Alya,
Next.
No, not next. We're not moving on. It's fine.
Speaking of Alya.
No, I wasn't going to say speaking of Alya. Going backwards to what we were saying about Zidane, people are reckoning that Dee-Dee and Zidane are going to be romantically entangled here. What do you think about that one?
Don't like that idea.
I didn't see it coming, but I've seen two people independently of each other suggesting
Dee-Dee is way too much for Zidane to handle. If he could not handle Rana, he cannot handle Dee-Dee.
Zidane and Rana are really nice together.
Zidane is a very traditional, quiet, humble, arrogant, devout Muslim man who cares quite a lot about his religion, even though they've probably forgotten that and they don't want you to remember that he was quite religious. I can't see somebody like Dee-Dee wanting to...
Yeah, I mean, I know there's chalk and cheese and everything, but they don't seem like they're right together.
She seems like a very kind of, independent woman. And I think that Zidane's traditional family values...
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
...wouldn't really mesh well with her life priorities. But you know what? If you fall in love, then you fall in love. Yeah. But I can't see myself wanting to spend that much amount of time with a man who does his hair with a ruler.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a shame for Dee-Dee that she's been put into this storyline because I really liked...
She's the most interesting part of it.
She is now, but I really liked how they launched her last week into straight in. First episode, she's there defending James. And I'm no massive fan of James, but she showed what she was capable of, and she was confident, and she could get to the point, and bam, 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 James gets his extra moolah. But yeah, so having her kind of settle down for a little while in the midst of this story is, I don't know whether it's going to do her a disservice. I hope that they
I like her. I think
they
she's
hurry
good.
it up.
The trouble is,
fine,
this is hospital set syndrome, where you build a hospital set and suddenly everybody on Weatherfield's got something wrong with them. You bring a lawyer into the show and suddenly everybody's got legal problems that they need sorting out.
Well, this has been the thing in Coronation Street for years, though, hasn't
I
it? Ever since Todd and Adam set up the practice. Is that the right word? Or is that a doctor?
Well, they haven't learned how to do it yet, so probably.
So, yeah, there are lots of people in need of lawyers. I'm kind of looking forward to Dee-Dee, but you're right that the shtick with, oh, I'm such a ditz.
Like, I'm like 100% perfect, except, oh no, I forgot I was wearing a bucket instead of a hat.
So
now the judge doesn't take me seriously. Ugh.
Yeah. So I think that this mug is going to come back.
Who?
No, the mug. And it's going to say that doesn't match.
It doesn't match.
They're not even taking the bag
to
get DNA'd, are they?
What are they testing it against?
I think they just want to have Lucy's DNA so that at some point they can convince the police to retest the bag.
Well, it doesn't make any sense.
But in any case...
It doesn't make any difference.
I don't think it's going to be Lucy. But what do I know? I'm usually wrong about these kind of things. Maybe we'll find out next week.
It's all very well saying it's never usually the person you suspect, but I think Coronation Street sometimes doesn't expect us to have thought this long about something. So it is who we suspect, because...
I know. I like that they're putting twists in it and everything. It's just something's not quite gripping me about it.
Next.
But anyway, let's do a more interesting... Oh, wait. It's the summer story.
No, this is a drug storyline. Okay, this is fun. On Tuesday.
Hi, Summer.
On Tuesday, Summer and Aaron out on the town. What are they going to do? They want to go kiting.
Yeah, they're going to go naked kiting. I love it. There's the scriptwriters are like, everyone says that Summer and Aaron are boring, guys. What should we get them to do? It's like, oh god, what kind of fun could they get out to? Naked kiting, yeah.
Right, okay. I say don't do that.
I say do, because if the kite gets stuck in a tree, Aaron just has to stand on his tiptoes maybe to get it, and he can reach it from any height.
I'm talking about the nakedness. So if you get that rope wrapped around you, you could get a rope burn where you don't want it.
Very true.
You don't want rope burn anywhere, but...
No.
There are more sensitive areas to protect. So they go to buy one at the cabin, that there aren't any, and then they talk about going indoor skydiving, and they said that's too
Rita
exciting.
sells nothing that provides fun in the sky. She doesn't sell fireworks.
Nope.
She doesn't sell kites.
Nope.
Probably no drones.
No drones. Nothing.
What else can you have fun with in the sky? No paragliders.
Nothing like that. What about, you remember those little toys you used to get inside eggs and stuff, which was a little metal paraglide man with a plastic little parachute.
Maybe
they were great, weren't they?
Yeah.
Bring those back.
Also, she sells bits of paper which you can fold up to be paper aeroplanes. But if Rita catches you doing it, she'll give you a clip round the ear.
Yeah, because you'd have someone's eye out. Oh, storyline for next year. Summer blinds max. Okay, right. So Aaron's like, oh, I've got some money for indoor skydiving. I stole my dad's wallet so that he couldn't buy booze, which, you know, that's good then. Noble thieving. And then he looks around and he finds a bag of...
thievery.
Huh?
I like a bit of noble thievery.
He dig around in the wallet and find a bag of weed.
Drugs.
And Aaron's like, wow. Let's do something wild. So they decide to go faking. It's the most boring thing, isn't it? To do with marijuana.
I wouldn't know what to do with a bag of marijuana.
No, I wouldn't really. Can you not just lick it? I suppose you can't, otherwise that would be the easiest thing to do, wouldn't it?
As I said earlier, I'm very naive about the ways of the world.
I am as well.
Probably wouldn't even recognise
if I found
that's
that,
what it was.
yeah, I'd be like, ha, imagine if this was weed. Anyway, let's go skydiving.
What was it that happened with Izzy and the coriander? Do you remember?
She got sold some, didn't she?
I think she did, yeah.
Oh dear.
Wouldn't that be funny if that's what it was and they'd bit into
They
it
just
and it's
pretended.
like, oh. Yeah.
They just imagined.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't need you can do this with nutmeg apparently. But apparently it's a really rough
What if you put
ride.
nutmeg in a brownie?
No, if you eat enough nutmeg, you can get this kind of reaction that
Turns you
but
nutty.
apparently it's really bad. It's not a good time.
Drugs are bad.
Drugs are bad, everybody.
Drugs are bad, okay?
Right, so someone's like, look, this reminds me of when I did drugs, and I did a woozy thing.
Talking about wild, Aaron. I'm a spice addict. I'm not talking about the band.
I don't want to do any more drugs. And I was like, don't worry.
That's a cool drug in Manchester.
This is marijuana.
I was first, says Summer.
And it makes my dad happy, so it'll make us happy too. So they go and they make some brownies, and you can tell that they're high because they smear it all over their face. You think this is great. So
I just remember him back to it and thinking, oh, Aaron and Summer.
Billy and Todd come home and Billy's like, oh my goodness. No, first of all, he's like, wow, how great that you've made these brownies. We should give them to the bishop.
Yes, the bishop's coming round today.
The bishop's coming for tea. And they're like, ha 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 ha.
It was kind of funny, but...
I thought this was funny. Todd sniffs the brownies and says, oh, I think they're on drugs. And Billy's like, you're naughty. And they're going, ha ha ha.
Billy's like, I don't know anything about drugs. I've never done any kind of drugs in my life, says Billy. Billy's
like, this is a gateway drug. Everyone knows this. If I take one bite of this, I'm going to be on heroin next week again. And I've already
it's like falling off a cliff as a gateway drug.
So, he's trying to tell them off, and they're like, whatever, loser. And then the bishop's like, hello, I've come early. And he's like, well, Billy is just like, I tell you what, one thing I really like about Billy is that it's totally useless in any kind of emergency, because he just kind of like waves his arms around in panic.
He does.
It's great.
He's
like, oh no.
Get him in the back.
Oh. So they hide the kids, and then Billy thinks it's all okay, and they kind of managed to hide all the brownie evidence. And then they realise, oh gosh, there's another brownie on the table, and the bishop's about to eat it. And they're like, don't eat that, it's for charity.
They should have had Ardy jumping in and going, no,
and then just eat it.
Yeah, I've taken one for the bishop. I've taken a brownie for the bishop.
Oh dear. So he's like, well, sorry, but I already ate one.
Oh no, that was quite. I quite liked how they did that. He's like, oh yeah, no, you're right. Temptation is always in your way. Oh, I've already eaten one. And because at that point we were thinking, oh, we're not going to see the bishop high on brownies. I want the bishop
to get high on brownies,
and we did.
So he's like having a great time, and Billy's like, it must be the chamomile tea.
Yeah,
what do they put in it? The bishop's like, brilliant, I've had a brilliant time. I'm going to go home on the bus.
I just remember the best line of the week. When Billy's telling Aaron and Summer off, and he's like, how could you be so irresponsible? And Aaron says, we use fair trade chocolate. That was
the best line. I
did not particularly enjoy some of this story, and I thought it was a bit silly and everything. But that was a brilliant line amongst kind of cliche on drug sort of stuff.
That was like the proper these people are middle class.
Yeah, that was good. Whoever wrote that one, gold star from me. Line
yeah,
of the
well
week.
done. So Todd has to give him a lift home because they do not know what a high bishop would end up getting up to. When they've left, Billy calls Summer and Aaron out, and they calm down a bit, and he says, oh, you're going to lose my job over this. It's like, well, doing what?
Yeah, I'll never be able to dish out soup to the homeless again.
Exactly.
Maybe that's what the bishop was going around for. He's like, right, performance management review, Billy. What have you been up to this year?
So what's been your most successful flavour of soup? And he's like, and you've done drugs before you went to hospital. How could you do it again? And honestly though, I can't believe he wasn't going, Summer, you're so irresponsible. I can't believe you would do this. Brownies? You're diabetic. You can't have brownies. Next time you want marijuana, smoke it like everyone else does.
Billy's just worried that the Mayhew family are going to get a bit of a reputation at this point, because he's got him on heroin, his brother Lee as well, drug dealer.
Smackhead.
Summer is now the spice and marijuana maiden of Weatherfield. God, what next? What's Summer's robot going to be
like, don't know. Summer's like, no, I can't either. Summer's like, whatever, and she ends up at the cafe, and she's like, I don't care, I had a great time high on drugs. And then Todd says to Billy, oh, it's just what teenagers do. Haven't you seen Bake Off recently? On Wednesday, Summer's feeling a bit down, and Billy's like, sorry, I overreacted. And Summer says, don't worry, I won't do it again. And then I've got to go to get my insulin pump fitted, and Billy's like, oh, good.
A heat pump? Oh no, an insulin pump.
Billy says you should.
That never happened in the end, did it? I think I was kind of drifting out of in and out of consciousness of some of this story. I want to see this insulin pump. But he said it then.
Right. They're talking about. He says ask Aaron to go with you. So they talk about Aaron's deadbeat dad in the weed, and Paul overhears it, gets really mad, and then Aaron's dad comes looking for Aaron at the garage, grabs him and starts asking him where his drugs are.
Where's my weed?
And
that was a good cut to the break moment, wasn't it? Because it had the Coronation Street title card over Aaron's dad threatening him, and he was just going. It was a bit of a Gale finger dangling moment with the engagement ring. That one was.
So Tyrone tries to break it up, and Kevin comes over, and I was like, "Oh, Kevin's there. He's going to punch him."
He doesn't like drugs.
He doesn't
He's had enough of them with Abby.
Kevin's like a confused Yorkshire Terrier who just sees people having a fight and starts biting people's ankles just out of principle. So he's like, "You're drunk. Aaron's not going home with you," and the dad leaves and says, "See you later, waste of space." Against Summer's advice, Aaron heads home to check on his dad, but then when she catches up with him in Victoria Gardens later, he's covered in bruises that his dad gave him, beating him up, and Summer's really worried about him. They go to the flat. Paul comes up. He starts having a go at Aaron about the drugs, and he thinks he's a thief and a drug addict, and he starts attacking Aaron.
Well, no, Aaron's just tries to walk off, doesn't he? He doesn't want to have any more of this abuse
Paul's
from
just
Paul.
having a go at him, and then
Paul grabs his bad arm and he goes, "Oh, my arm."
And then Aaron reacts and punches him in the nose. And Summer wants Aaron to tell Paul the whole story, but he won't, and he leaves. And Summer follows him, finds him moping in the cafe. He thinks he's let her down. She says he hasn't, and you need to tell everyone about your dad. Then Paul summons Billy to the flat and tells him he was on drugs. And Billy's like, "Yeah, they were good though. They were good brownies." And I don't understand. Did they eat all these brownies?
What happened to the last brownie?
Did they eat all these brownies? They could have just given Aaron's dad some brownies. He would probably like that.
Yeah,
that would have chilled him out a bit.
Well, it was his weed after all.
Exactly.
It's probably his favourite type.
Probably. Billy's like, "Look, don't be horrible," because he's having a hard time. And Paul's saying he wants Aaron done for assault. Summer finally wears Aaron down, and he says he'll tell Billy about his dad. And then Kevin comes in. I don't understand. So Billy goes back to the flat. No, Aaron goes back to the flat and tells Billy about his dad. And Billy does pray hands. Well, if that would help, then we would all be fine, wouldn't he? He says, "Stay here with us." And Aaron's like, "But what about Paul?" And everyone's like, "No, who cares about Paul? Just ignore him." He says, "I'm sorry that I hurt him, but he reminded me of my dad." And then Billy dashes off to the police station to catch Paul before he tells the police about Aaron, and he begs him to give him another chance. So they go back to the flat, and Aaron apologises, and Paul gets alone with Aaron and says, "Summer can do better than you, bugger off and leave Summer alone." So it's basically like saying, it doesn't actually say this, but maybe he will at some point decide, if you don't leave Summer alone, I'm going to tell the police that you beat me up.
Yes, basically, he's got that hold. I quite liked how they had Paul take this stance on drugs. Gemma wasn't mentioned at all, was she? But the fact that Gemma used to hang around a lot with those druggy types might give Paul an understandable dislike of all things narcotic.
It's a sort of a normal stance to take, isn't it? Really. Like,
well, apparently not.
Your teen daughter / friend / cousin / niece.
I'm so over this 3 gay dance.
Okay, right. But he feels responsible for her, and this kid's like obviously messed up, and the kind thing to do would be to help him, like Billy wants to, but Paul doesn't need to worry about being kind. He can just be realistic and tell him to get lost.
Yeah.
And honestly, this is a soap, so really, Paul's right, because Aaron will be trouble. Something bad will happen with him and his dad. I'm sure there'll be some kind of escalation. Who knows what Aaron's dad's going to do, and if Aaron's going to accidentally push him down some stairs or something, no doubt.
Who, Dad?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Or he's going to die of a horrible overdose, or he's going to end up in hospital with alcoholic complications.
I wish they'd shared one of these brownies with Alya.
I'll be like, who cares, man? Who cares about DNA? Not me.
Yeah, so going back to Paul, yes. I was kind of glad that he took that stance, because it seems like everybody else on Coronation Street is just of the view that it's okay.
I know. I think Yeah, and I think that Billy's main problem was not that it was drugs, but it is illegal drugs.
And stolen illegal drugs.
Stolen illegal drugs.
I don't know. I don't think he'd like it to think that Summer, who's only just turned 18 and everything, remember?
I don't.
And he knows that she is a little bit, as I am, naive to the ways of the world and everything.
It's quite funny though, because obviously this country has got a very harsh legal view of marijuana compared to other countries. We know in America and parts of different countries it's legal, and it's not at all here.
Well, marijuana is one of those drugs that, just over the past 10, 15 years or whatever, more and more places have been going, it's all right. But we're still not saying that. But there are lots of but lots of people in this country are saying, no, it really is okay.
Yeah, I know, but the funny thing to me is that there's no political push or will at all to even consider, should we legalise this drug?
I read somewhere that this high-up policeman just recently said, maybe we should.
Yeah, but there's no, it's not like a campaign, and people aren't talking about it. I think it's because it's kind of, I don't know, I think it's easy to get hold of, and if you want it, you can find it, and the police we don't really have the same problem, I don't know, but I don't feel like we have the same problem as they did in America, where people were getting overcharged and chucked in prison for decades of their life because of marijuana. I think it's kind of like live and let live.
I mean, I kind of, my knowledge of the legal battles in America about the legalisation of marijuana is basically from watching episodes of South Park. So that's that's as much as I know. And yeah, you're right. It did feel like more of an issue there. And nobody really is talking about it here.
No, I don't think anybody...
But it seems like, and again, looking online, seeing what people are saying on Facebook, on forums and everything, on Coronation Street forums this week, it seems like the overriding view is, yes, it is safer than nicotine and alcohol. It's normal. Everybody does it. And I'm just there going, I'm a bit of an Alya here, aren't I? But I don't drink. I don't even drink alcohol. So obviously I'm going to be thinking the same thing about marijuana, or isn't it naughty? But I mean, this is the message that we were fed ever since we were young, wasn't it? It was very kind of hard line on all drugs are bad at school. And we didn't ever hang around with the sort of people who did take drugs, did we?
No. The thing is, whenever you say
literally,
this, people think
you're
you're either being awfully naive and pathetic, or you're lying because you've done drugs. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know what the statistic is, but it's like a surprisingly high.
Well, no, I just looked this up. So
have you?
The proportion of 16 to 59-year-olds in the UK, well, in England and Wales, reporting ever using cannabis in their lifetime.
Cannabis. That's this one, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not down
no,
with all the street names.
You don't even know what it is. Okay, listen. So in 2001 to 2002, it was 23.6% of people.
When was that? 22.
2001.
2001.
And then
Quarter of people.
2013 to 2014, it's gone up to 30%.
Right. And that's the last one, was it?
Yeah.
So basically, yeah. So it's saying a third of adults in this country
have tried it at least once in their life.
And that just, to me, goes like, what? It's a little bit like, when we did the feature discussion on marriages earlier this year, and it said how there's like 55% of couples don't get married anymore, and I was like, what? That's not true, is it?
Michael, it doesn't matter.
That's out of touch. I know I'm out of touch.
It doesn't really matter to me what other people do, though. Do you care? I don't care.
I don't particularly care, but it still surprises me.
The only thing that I would say about legalising marijuana is that I don't agree with it, because it stinks. And already, if you walk around, you can smell people around certain places.
I think it's only in recent years I've kind of recognised what the smell is.
I know,
literally in the last couple of years.
That's because I told you what it was.
That's how sheltered I am. But yeah, what I thought about this week's Coronation Street, I was just very surprised how more people, not that many people were talking about it, but more people than I would have expected were saying, oh, don't worry, it's just marijuana, because that's like Coronation Street saying, that this illegal thing is actually okay. And I wouldn't have thought that, this premiere television show would want to have this stance.
What are you saying that Coronation Street says about...
Coronation Street are having characters kind of saying, oh yeah, it's okay, it's only marijuana, everybody does it.
I've seen people online saying that they thought it was shocking and awful how badly marijuana use was portrayed.
What, just
they're like,
Summer and Aaron's...
how dare they say that drug addicts make brownies and laugh? I don't get what the problem was about it, because like if you're so involved in it that you've forgotten that it's illegal, I think you need to take a bit of a breather. Do you know what I mean? It's still illegal. Equally, I don't agree with just saying, oh, it's illegal, therefore I'm not even going to think about it.
And it's
just automatically bad.
And it is very odd. I mean, it's not the first time either, because I mean, this whole thing of characters who you might not expect to get high inadvertently have some cannabis, that's been done on Coronation Street before more than once. Twice. And it's always played for laughs, isn't it? And it's like they don't have people shooting up on heroin for laughs, as funny as it might have been for Billy. And it's not like they have people murdering each other for laughs.
But I thought it's kind of like, is it not very addictive?
I think that's right. I was going to look this up. I think it's maybe not supposed to be very addictive.
I don't know anything about it. Just showing, I think we're showing our asses here about how little we know about this.
Oh, I happily admit that I don't know anything about it. I need to go back and listen to our discussion.
We're not talking about, and even what I said earlier was just a joke. Not talking about our opinions about whether it should be legal or not, but the way that Coronation Street portrayed it is, like you say, interesting. I don't believe for a minute that people who work in the creative industries don't know quite a lot about recreational drug use. Not wishing to name names, but it always feels, not that I would know any names, but it just feels that Coronation Street has got quite a funny, quaint attitude towards marijuana specifically.
We've had like Emily Bishop and Rita and that lot. They had brownies, didn't they? And also, what's her face? Stephanie Cole. Yeah. Roy's mum, Sylvia. She and I did find that they were funnier than Summer and Aaron.
But like when Izzy was doing drugs or doing marijuana, it was like she bloody murdered a grandma and sucked her blood out.
Funny. That was inverted.
I know, but the way everyone was acting towards her and how she got dragged into court and she tried to defend herself, and in the end it seemed like the show was going, well, she did the crime. You know what I mean? She was just using it for pain relief.
Yeah, exactly. I do wonder, like, if marijuana ever does become legal in this country, just whether there'll just be a massive influx or like a wave of just people just smoking it. But although, I mean, maybe they wouldn't on Coronation Street, because they don't even show people smoking cigarettes on Coronation Street anymore. It's all vapes, isn't it? Yeah, they have vapes.
But does that smell? I don't know.
I bet Stu would like a...
Why?
I just don't know.
Because he's a criminal.
I just see... Maybe that's very...
I don't care anymore.
Maybe I'm just being very ignorant there. And
what are you... I don't even get what you're trying to say. The only thing I can think of that you're just getting
homeless.
At... Oh. I just know that...
and in jail.
I know that chefs...
Sorry for my stereotype.
Being a very high stress job, there's quite a lot of drugs going on in the kitchens.
Yeah. Oh,
so there you go. That's what two people that don't know anything about drugs and have actually never seen drugs in real life.
I was just shocked. I was totally shocked
about that. You're such a square, Michael.
I know. I totally am. Alya would love me.
What if you ate a brandy by accident and you were like,
I just don't like the idea of it.
I know you
That's
don't.
why I don't drink. I'm happy enough to where I am.
Aww.
I did say that when we were watching this week's episodes, and I'm just going to drop this in out of nowhere because I'll forget to say it otherwise. I want Stephen to be a serial killer of boring characters, and that would make him the best serial killer ever, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. Bump off all the characters that are mega dull, and he's already made such a good start with Leo, so maybe he could move on to, killing off Summer next, or killing off Alya, or there's any number of characters that he could bump off. I think that would be a great idea. That's just my prediction.
I think that's a good idea, and I would
desire for
stand
next year's
behind
Coronation Street. What do we think about poor Aaron getting beaten up? Don't say he's asking for it.
No, of course. You can't even joke about it.
No, I know. What
is there to say? I feel really bad for him.
I wish it was the character that I sympathise with more. I don't mind Aaron, but I'm not like, he's not on my top 10
He just looks too much like Robert Pattinson to me, so I'm just thinking, just wait till your dad asleep and just bite him and drain him of blood.
Just like in Batman.
Just like in Twilight.
Right. Next up, we got Ken makes a play for Wendy. And for me, this was the saving grace of this week. Even though it did get a little bit silly at points, this was the one that I was like, oh yeah, we got some proper Corrie actors, we got some proper ledgers here. I'm not... And it was supposed to be a bit of a B story as well. I think with the Stew story and the Summer story, everyone was like, oh, this is the big murder story, or oh, this is the big issues drug story. With this one,
it wasn't an issues drug story though.
Okay,
it was
issues
a story about
person getting
violence.
beaten up by exactly. And so when there's stories like that and I'm not mega into it, I feel a little bit guilty. This one though, it was just here's a load of characters doing a bit of amdram, and I could just kind of sit back and enjoy this, so it was fine. So it all starts off on Monday with Brian finding Ken working on the script in the cafe. So remember, Ken has decided, or no, Nigel has asked him when he could pep up the script a little bit with his elite writing skills, and Ken's like, oh, I'm not that good. Oh, well, yes, go on then, I'll take over the whole thing. So Brian's kind of pointed out that Wendy's part in the play seems to be growing by the day, and is kind of clearly insinuating here that Ken has got the hots for Miss Crozier.
Everyone's got the hots for Miss Crozier.
I know. And maybe you're kind of bigging up her part a little bit too much. And Ken's like, no, never. But then he has a pensive look and think, oh, maybe I do actually fancy the pants off of her. Later on, there's a funny scene where Mary's telling Brian all about Wendy's history with Ken back in the 80s, and about they have this funny conversation about how exotic and femme fatalish the name Crozier is, don't they? Just compared to Papadopoulos, which is quite funny. And they agree that if Ken seems to be favouring Wendy too much in his script adaptations, then they shall usurp him and get rid of him from the playwriting group. So Ken, Wendy, Brian, and I've written Ken again here, I don't know who it was, Mary, meet up in the community centre later. Yes, it was Mary.
Yes, the community centre.
The obvious place for not since Frida's protest last year. Brilliant scene, everybody. I'm not going to back down on that. Bloody love that Frida scene. So the one thing I did think about this Amdram story this week is, haven't they got a proper place to rehearse? I don't know anyone who does amateur dramatics, but it just feels like they don't practice. They don't like clear the tables away to one side in the pub and act it out there, and they don't book out, you know? Can't they just have a little mini theatre or something to go? Or
is not the community centre the correct place to go, Michael?
I suppose it is. I suppose
it's the exact place they should go.
Or does Brian still... not Brian, Nigel. Does he still work at the school? I thought he did. I can't remember. Can't they go in his classroom?
Why
Can't they have Daniel's old classroom?
They've gone to the community centre.
Okay, fine. They're at the community centre.
It's just been weird now.
Mary has discovered she's got more lines cut in favour of Wendy, and Ken says, oh, it makes total sense. But Wendy's like, yeah, of course, my characters would have more to say in this part of the story. And Mary's like, well, I'm not having it around with all this blatant favouritism. I'm off to pub. So the meeting basically collapses at that point. Wendy leaves as well. Brian tells Ken, everyone's noticed that you fancy the pants off Wendy and you're giving her more and more lines. Just admit it. And Ken's like, never, I would never fancy that Wendy Papadopoulos. She wrecked my marriage. Rah, 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 rah. Tuesday's episode, Ken finds Mary after the storming out incident the previous day and says, sorry for changing your part in the play so much. She is not in a very forgiving mood, however, and is busily writing some changes to the script of her own. Then we have Nigel, who couldn't make it to Monday's episode for whatever reason. They all have this rehearsal in the pub, as I say. That's, you know, they could have at least gone into the Select to do it, couldn't they? They should have found a little secret door just towards the back by the dartboard and gone, oh, there's a whole massive room out the back here. Why haven't we oh yeah, I remember that from 30, 40 years ago. Let's practice in here. They've got a stage and everything. Ken's like, I played the trumpet in here once, how could I forget it? So anyway, they do a bit of a scene. Nigel thinks that Brian was terrific. I'm starting to question Nigel's ability to judge people's acting talent here. But then she says, oh Mary, you did what you had to do, Mary. Sorry, I wasn't prepared for that. That wasn't very good, was it? Nigel wants to hear Wendy's monologue next. He said, oh, it's fantastic. Brilliant writing, Ken. You've done her proud. Excellent. And Ken's like, oh, well, you know, it was nothing. I just farted it out one morning. Mary's mega unhappy by this point. She says, no, this monologue that Wendy's saying, that should have come from my character. And Nigel kind of poo-poos the idea and applauds Ken some more, as if his head couldn't get any larger. The funny thing about this sort of story is you have to see actors pretending they can't act, don't you? And that must always be a bit of a tricky one to do.
I know. I think it's a real it's a real show of proper skill, because it's very, very easy to be terrible, isn't it? Like, you pretend to be bad at acting, but being just plausibly bad enough that you're not very good, but you're also not great.
See, I think, sorry Gunny and Patty, I think that they OTT'd it a little bit too much this week with their just over dramaticism and I can't remember what the word is. I think that they went over the top for laughs, and because if you got Nigel there saying, "Oh wow, you're wonderful, Brian," and he's doing this, what was that he did something in this second episode where he almost breaks the glasses in the pub with this, how loud he shouts, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's some kind of Quasimodo character.
I didn't.
What
like
is the
that.
story of this play?
And I'm also thinking, so is everybody who's in this play a character on Coronation Street? Has he kind of swept through the whole of Weatherfield trying to find the creme de la creme of not actually professional acting talent, and it just so happens that everybody lives on the street together? Is it because there's so much drama on Coronation Street that if you live there you naturally got some bit of acting talent? I don't know. But anyway, that's my little aside there. Anyway, at the bar, Brian warns Ken that Mary is threatening to quit at this point. So they go back to the group. Ken says to Nigel, look, can you work with Wendy this afternoon instead of me, Ken? Because that's my way of showing that I'm not showing too much favouritism to Wendy. So Ken takes Mary next door to practice at his house. Nigel comes round and says, I've been working with Wendy. Oh, she's a remarkable woman. No.
Oh, that was alright.
No, that was bad.
Oh.
Oh boy, she's a remarkable woman.
Let everybody do a poll.
No, I've done better than that.
That was worse the second time.
I know. He says, oh, I'd ask her out, Ken, if you weren't so interested in her yourself, like. And Ken's dear. Go right ahead. You go for it. She may be...
You go, girl.
She may be 30, 40 years your senior, but if you fancy her, you go right ahead. And we did have to do a little bit of Googling of characters' ages here, because the guy who plays Nigel is 46, 47, I think, supposed to be. And I said about 50, didn't I? But he's a bit younger than that. Roberta Kerr, who plays Wendy, is 70, but apparently the character is mid-60s. So there is a 20-year age gap character-wise between them.
Age is just a number.
It felt odd. And to have Brian suddenly confess his, fancying of this lady who's clearly an old lady.
Here's a question for you. Here's a question to expose your misogyny. If it was the other way around and it was an older man and a lady fancied him, you wouldn't have a problem or even notice. I don't think you'd even notice.
I would, because I thought that Mary fancying Norris was weird. And it's just the same thing, I think.
I found it to be quite heartening, actually.
Good for you.
Because I know I can get a man now when I'm 65.
You won't need a man when you're 65, because you won't ever get rid of me.
Well, we might differ in our opinions as we grow older and they legalise marijuana.
Yeah, that's going to be the straw that breaks the carrot, the weed that breaks the camel's back. So anyway...
The weed that breaks the camel's back. Yeah. What does she do?
As the phrase goes. Anyway, so Nigel's been given permission from Ken, from Mr. Barlow, to go right ahead and ask Wendy out on a date. So they all go back to the pub again, and Nigel says, oh, I shared a bottle of Chardonnay with you, Wendy. And then he asked her out for dinner at this sushi place. They're going all over.
He says, we should go out for dinner. She's like, brilliant idea.
He says, yeah, Ken recommended this place. He knows everything about sushi. He used to wear a kimono, so he's basically Japanese.
Answer to Reni Shi, actually.
So she gets the wrong idea. Oh yeah, no, that's right. Yeah. So she gets the wrong idea and thinks that it's a team building exercise, and he's like, "Well, no, I kind of thought it was going to be a team of two, actually." And anyway, Ken thinks that we'd make a lovely couple. And Wendy's like, what the hell? Ken? I want to get in his pants. I want to get in Ken's pants. I've got the hots for him, actually. Yeah, I want somebody who's slightly older than me, not mega younger than me.
I'd say get in there.
So she goes stomping round number one.
Go off with Nigel.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's Gemma's...
Unless she's hoping Ken's going to die soon and she can inherit
Ken is Mr. Lover. He's not had that string of girlfriends for no reason. How many birds has Nigel had over the years, I wonder? I'm going to say not many.
I didn't think he'd had any, to be honest.
No, I know what you're saying. But you know who knows?
He proved us wrong.
He certainly did. unless he's saying something, you know...
Well, who knows?
About Wendy.
Who knows what he's saying?
Wendy goes stomping around number one. Like, what the hell are you doing, Ken? I fancy you, man. Is it because of Tracy, who's been weirdly absent from these episodes, and we're talking about her an awful lot, but she's not been stumping into any rooms here? And Ken says, no, it's actually, look, I may be developing feelings for you. And Wendy's like, oh my gosh, what the heck? And then she kind of makes a hasty exit, and that's the cliffhanger for Tuesday's episode. Wednesday comes round, and Wendy comes back round to number one to apologise to Ken for rushing out yesterday. And she says, I was flattered and everything, and a bit surprised. And Ken says, well, I am surprised by all of this myself, actually. She admits she's feeling the same thing, and then they join hands, and it's all very lovely and sweet. So they're there with joined hands over the table in the number one. Amy comes downstairs. Nice to see her again. Where's she been recently? And she sees them. What's going on? And she says, well, yeah, Mum's going to do a nut if she finds out that you two are canoodling away. And Ken says, oh, no, it's more companionship than a relationship, actually. Amy said, no, this is no good. Tracy's head is going to explode. And Wednesday says, I can't blame her, to be honest. Ken says, well, tough. She's just going to have to get over it. Amy's like, oh, well, we'll see how that goes. But for my part, I promise that I'm not going to tell Tracy. Later on, and Ken has made more adaptations to this play script to try and fill out Mary's part, to try and appease her somewhat. And so Mary turns up for a one-on-one rehearsal with Ken in the pub, and is miffed to find Wendy there.
Out loud, whether this is like a bit of a barbed comment to maybe some people who might come to the writers of Coronation Street with some ideas of their own.
What more lines? Give me more lines. Is it Patty Claire? Is she
I wonder if
saying?
There was anybody in mind when they... Of course not. They're all too professional at that.
I don't know how it's possible for script writers to write this kind of story without thinking, this character I'm going to make a little bit like this person that I know.
This reminds me.
Impossible. I know there was no disclaimer at the beginning saying any coincidence to any person alive or dead. It's just quite coincidental, but there's got to be a little bit of that in there, isn't there? Come on, right? Who is it? Who's Ken? Who's Wendy?
Yeah, come on, tell us. Which one's Mary?
Which one's Brian? So later on, I've said that already. Nigel arrives in the pub.
Who's Nigel?
What?
In the show.
Who is Nigel in the show? I wonder. Do
you think he's Ian McLeod? He's the Ian McLeod of the thing because he does everything.
Yeah. He's there. He to offer his critique. Oh, he gives them a good Nigel slating when they've done badly, doesn't he? Nigel Slater. I'm sure there's a storyline title in there somewhere. Wendy says, I'm pulling out of the role. I don't want to be Mrs. What's-Her-Face anymore. And it's for a very special and important reason.
They don't announce it, do they?
What do you mean they do?
Do they?
Yeah. Oh. Well, she tells everybody. She says it's for a very special and important reason and gives Ken a knowing look. And Ken's like, I'm in there.
I don't get it. What's the problem?
I think she's just feeling like it
has to be impartial.
Yeah.
She doesn't understand how the theatre works then, does she?
No,
half the people who get roles are only there because they've been shagging around.
Didn't Deirdre once say that she was Switzerland in glasses, and Wendy is carrying on the tradition of impartial girlfriends to Ken.
If you're not going to sleep your way to the top in the theatre industry, then what are you doing?
She doesn't want to sleep her way to the top because the top is Nigel. That's the problem.
But she's already banged Ken, who's like the scriptwriter.
Nigel says...
She's playing this game all wrong.
Well, this is put...
Oh, God.
Well, this is put us... No.
You need some of this
in my normal voice, Nigel says that this has put them up a certain creek
How come
without a certain paddle.
We need some Stephen voice acting to do.
Stephen was nowhere to be seen in this week's Coronation Street.
It's like Coronation Street. It's like I can't be doing with them doing that accent again. Just
where did he got to find another leading lady now? Then, eh?
Okay.
So he goes and rings round.
Do they ever solve this problem?
No, because he rings round all his actress friends, but they're all busy.
Penelope Keith.
Yeah, and Wendy says.
Joanna Lumley.
No numbers or anything. Exactly. Wendy says, "How about Mary?" It's like they're just sitting there. Who could it be? Who could it be?
Who's a woman that acts?
Oh, there's somebody right opposite me. Mary can be Wendy. I don't know much about this
Mary
part.
can be Wendy.
How old is Mary? 45 odd, 50? And she's now playing the same part as Mary. Wendy? I don't know. But anyway, they all agree it's a fab idea. But now, it doesn't really solve the problem because Mary's role is now empty and needs filling by somebody.
Oh, God.
Also, Ken... Then previously didn't say this. Ken confirms Brian's suspicions about him and Wendy, but says, "Don't tell anyone. I don't think anybody notices."
See, I told you.
Oh no, yeah, no.
She says it's for a very special, important reason.
Yeah, sorry.
And everyone's like hates Wendy so much they don't even ask her what she's talking about. But she's being all dramatic and mysterious, and they're like, "All right then, whatever. What could it be? Some kind of old age pensioner thing that you don't care about?
Yeah,
something to do with going to have to pick up a bus." Pass something.
Yes, exactly.
So dismissive and rude.
So this story, like I said earlier,
if only there was a way
kind of fun
of going back to when Ken beefed up Mary's role and just to get rid of it.
Yeah. Oh well. Do you think we're going to see this play being performed? I kind of half want to. I don't want to
because I think that I've seen the things I've seen. Makes me think it's not going to be as funny as perhaps they think it might be.
Not going to be as funny as Dennis Tanner having a nice panto Christmas 1960 whatever. I know. I think they need to dial it down by about 30%. They really do. It's like the actors know they're in the kind of semi-comedy storyline and they're really, really leaning
It's like
into
they
it.
know. They probably do know.
It's almost like somebody said, just go for it, Gunny.
I know, but you don't need to... It's too much.
We saw a scene in this being filmed, didn't we?
Yeah.
We saw a scene with Ken and Wendy. So when we went to our set tour and Alison Sinclair was taking us around, and she's like, "Oh, what do you want to do then?" And we were like, "Well, what can you show us? Show us whatever you're allowed to show us." So this is when she snuck us into the studios, didn't she? And we didn't go there in order to see this scene, but we just happened to be walking through. Went through a door and it's like, oh my gosh, there's William Roach and Roberta Kerr doing this very scene. And how long did we stay there for? 5 minutes?
Yeah, not very long.
So we haven't really talked much about this one before, partly because it's not been on and we don't want to spoil it. But yeah, this was a fleeting walk through the scene, but we just had to stop and pick our mouths above the floor that we were watching the Don
actually got to see William Roach performing. I know, I can't
doing
go
his
over
job.
it.
And this is one as well, because we heard Roberta, or was it Ken, sorry, or was it William saying the line, "I'm starting to develop feelings for you," and we both looked at each other like, "Oh," because back in August when that happened, I think there was when it was being filmed. Sorry, it had not been confirmed then that Ken was going to be making a play for Wendy, as it were. I think people had wondered, is there going to be any kind of reigniting of past romance there? But for us to, back in August, see him confess is like, oh my gosh.
Oh, we know where this is going now.
Yeah, and Ali's like, yeah, this story's great. And she told us a little bit more
She told us some more secrets.
She told us some more secrets about where the story's going to go. And I just thought it was kind of fun this week. I didn't have to invest too much in it. Are you kind of happy with Ken going for Wendy?
I don't really care.
I think...
I'm not like, oh no, what about Deirdre?
No, I'm not either. I mean, they were sitting there confessing their feelings for each other while Deirdre was gurning on from the Welsh dresser in the background, wasn't she?
What, Nigel?
What? The Welsh dresser Nigel.
He's a sharp dresser.
He's not the costumier. I think maybe because we've had the Claudia story and seen that Ken can move on, I think I'm okay with it. And it means that there's more scenes for Ken. And there's just many, many reasons why I'm just like totally fine with this, even though it's Wendy Flaming Crozier, you know,
I know, but I was never
the Scarlet Woman of the street.
Totally invested in. I know this is probably sacrilege in Ken and Deirdre.
What? Get out.
Well, I just don't think that I was watching it long enough.
You certainly didn't see them at the height of their romance. But no, Ken and Deirdre, they were made for each other, but I don't
think they were. I honestly think he was an absolute arsehole to Deirdre.
He was.
And he always thought he was better than her. And honestly, I kind of relish the idea of Ken getting together with a woman who will not just passively sit there and have him misquote Shakespeare at her. You know what I mean?
Well, it's going to be full circle, isn't it? Because Val, his first wife, was also
she was an intellectual.
She was pretty much.
I just think Ken's cleverer than Wendy, and Wendy's cleverer than Ken, and I honestly think that the whole thing will end because Ken's ego won't be able to take it.
That would be so funny. They decide to get together and they do a little IQ test or something.
Yeah, and he gets annoyed, or she keeps filling out the crosswords, and he's like, "I was going to do that," and she was like, "Well, why didn't you then?" And he's like, "I was getting around to it."
It should end that way. I'd love it. I'd love that.
I just think that Ken has really got a really fragile ego, and I don't think that he could cope with Wendy.
Oh, I'm really enjoying that side of it. Like, if this was just a Ken and Wendy storyline, I'd be enjoying it a lot more. But you know, the Brian and Mary isn't putting it down enough. So anyway,
that's fine.
More to come. I hope that Tracy does appear at some point, because it's weird that everyone's wondering what she's going to say when surely she
could have said it herself.
She's not away, is she? I don't think so. Anyway,
she's just gone. She's left because she's fed up with the roof.
Bloody roof.
Roof's not fixed yet, everybody.
Nigel, fix the roof, please. James, Bailey.
Why would Nigel fix the roof?
Why not? Why not? Get a bit of Welsh rarebit.
No, stop making stupid Welsh jokes.
I'm not. I love a bit of Welsh rarebit.
No, yes.
James Bailey is no longer on the Coronation Street, Gemma. He's gone. Tell us how it happened, and also what happened next.
No one cares.
We've got to do a character profile of him in a couple of weeks, everybody.
On Monday.
Look out for that.
Ronnie says, James, I know someone who wants somebody to coach some children's football in Lewisham. And it's like...
Andy.
And that's where Danny lives. And James is like, great, I'm going to go then. And he decides to go, and then he leaves.
Thanks, Abby, just filling the dead air.
Abby's like, you're being stupid. Read it properly. I don't like it when you do this. Okay, right. So everyone's happy, apart from Maggie, who's a bit sad because she doesn't want her children to not be around, and they're very proud of him. And then Aggie supports him, and then Shona and Lily come to say goodbye and thank you. And
are you really rushing through it this quickly?
And he gets the back of the taxi exit, and. I like the fact that Lily gave James her football top signed. Like, she's like, you didn't make much of yourself, but I am going to.
I like how it was sort of it was a back of a taxi exit, which is kind of what James deserves, but they also had some cheering football
people
fans.
Stood outside going, hooray!
They couldn't get Tim or Steve to come and do this scene, but who do they have? Chesney and Dev, was it? And Tyrone,
anyone who
maybe?
Can fit the green tops.
Yeah.
Right, Tuesday. Aggie's fretting about James, and she seems to be the one who remembers he even existed on Tuesday. She meets up with Tim in the street, and she admits her sad feelings, and then it turns out that it's Sally and Tim's wedding anniversary. So she says, I'll go and help you find a present. And then she lies to Ed when he asks her where she was, and she says she was out with a friend, and everyone knows Tim's not her friend.
Not that.
Lover. No, I mean... On Wednesday, Tim pretends to forget their anniversary, but it completely backfires because Sally doesn't wait for him to finish his sentence, really, and storms off after having ripped his card in half.
Yeah, Sally's standing there with his anniversary card behind her back, isn't
and he's like pretending not to remember. It's like, here's a hint, guys, and I don't know if you need to know this as well. Don't pretend you've forgotten your wedding anniversary as a hilarious joke, because it's not funny.
I would never do such a thing.
So Tim runs out in his dressing gown and flashes Mary and Fizz.
Oh yeah,
he's probably on a register now.
He shows his little willy to them, doesn't he?
Tim catches up with Sally and tells her he didn't really forget. Here's a present, fancy necklace. She loves it. Aggie comes out of the house, gives him like a thumbs up, and then they meet up in Victoria Gardens, Tim and Aggie, and they talk about how great their friendship is, and he gives her a necklace. And then Aggie hides the necklace when Dee-Dee points it out and tries to ask her more about it. And then Tim and Sally enjoy a 3-course Italian meal, including fluffy cheese, which is
Oh yes, Fluffy.
Buffalo mozzarella.
She had done the house up very nice for that, hadn't she?
Yes.
Lovely. Well done, Sally. That was quite heartening. But yeah, still this Tim and Aggie thing. I
really don't know where this is going.
It still doesn't feel in the slightest like there's any kind of romantic
I don't
spark
think they've done anything
them.
wrong apart from not saying, "Oh, went out with Tim."
Yeah, the fact that Aggie's hiding that she was with Tim, it's making me think, well, why doesn't she just say? Because it is okay for her to be friends with Tim.
Or is it?
Is it because
can you be friends with girls if you're a boy?
Is it because that she's been kind of secretly sex counselling him? And she doesn't want to go into that with Ed?
I don't know. I know that there are some people who are very, very firm on the idea that you can never be friends with members of the opposite sex. But I don't think that's true at all, because I know some people I think are absolutely wonderful who are guys, and I definitely would never in a million years go anywhere near them
like
in
me.
A romantic way. Yeah, mostly you.
Nice, you think I'm a nice guy.
You think you're one of the best.
Yeah, and then she was hiding that necklace and everything, wasn't she? So it's kind of...
Well, it was a bit weird he bought her a necklace, but then...
Yeah, I thought that.
But then, yeah...
Why would he do that?
Because he's a man and he, like, is in the idea of buying present mode. I just honestly think his man brain, and sorry to men here, but sometimes man brain can be quite one-dimensional. And he's like, happy woman...
Necklace.
Grateful, necklace gift, friend, happy woman, necklace gift. Makes sense to me. Just buy her a necklace. That's what women like.
Did you like the best?
Sally's.
Sally's was quite nice, wasn't it?
But I thought that Aggie's looked really nice on her.
It did.
I just think if I wore it, I'd look like Lisa Simpson.
Yeah. So I don't. Should we kind of save the chat about James's exit until we do the character profile on him?
I don't need to talk about him anymore.
Okay. Mooks mock Max then, Gemma.
It sounds like you said that backwards, like we were suddenly in Twin Peaks
again. Right, so Tuesday is when this all kicked off, and David gets tad miffed at the beginning of the episode because Maria is abandoning him so she can go and do some counselling, whatever it is. David is asked by Max for a lift for school, but he says, "No, soz, I can't. I got to go to the hairdressers. You're a big boy now, Max. You're like massive. You're taller than me. Get yourself to school.
Get a car."
Yeah. Helicopter yourself in, mate." And he says, "And you can get a bus home too."
How do you normally get to school?
Yeah, exactly.
All these people getting lifts to school. When I was a kid, we walked to school.
In the snow, up a hill, both ways.
We did in the snow. We did in the snow, and I distinctly remember there was a dead fox that's frozen to death, and I was thinking, how could our parents send us out on a day like this?
Anyway, David eventually agrees to pick Max up on the way home from school, but he doesn't, because he gets stuck in the hairdressers all day.
He's got a massive backlog of back hair,
and Max has a scene what we saw filmed.
Yeah, we did. We saw this as well.
So the scene is Max is walking through Fresco's car park, and then these two bullies from the Pru come up to him the Prudential. That's what David called it. The Pru this week.
Oh yeah.
And they push him. They grab his bag,
yeah,
root around, find his sandwiches, push him onto the floor, and then squirt a bottle of water right in his crotch so it looks like he's wetting himself. So nasty.
I mean, that's terrible.
We saw that happening. So the story here is every morning when we were in the Airbnb, I would get up. I'd make sure that I was up at least 7 o'clock. Because that's when some of the cars started arriving, and although I really rarely saw anybody that I recognised getting out of these cars, I still did it anyway. And one morning, and I think it was must have been the Thursday, so the day after we went to the set, I looked out and I was like, oh, there's something different there, because on that wall there, the Fresco's wall, which is the wall of the car park, they had all the Fresco's posters, and one of them had changed into one of the Halloween posters because it was very distinctly orange and purple. I was like, oh, that's nice. They changed that overnight for whatever reason. And then as I was sitting there having my breakfast, I started to see a little bit more milling about those. Like, oh, they're going to film. Something's happening. They're going to film a car park scene. And what are the chances? Because it's not like they use that set very often, is it? It's like...
Well, they more often would film the hospital car park scenes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we get to see see that wall being used in an episode of Corrie, I'm going to say no more than 5 times a year.
Oh,
surely, if that. So the fact that they were filming one when we were there, that was so jammy of us that we got to see it.
Oh, I've heard that word jammy for ages.
And yeah, I just kind of set up and watched it, and we didn't watch the whole thing because it's not quite the same when you're a jolly long way away from it. But it was
fascinating.
It was. I woke you up and said, "Come and have a look. They're filming a Maxim."
And we got to see him on the crash mat, falling over all the time, didn't we? They're pushing him over onto the crash mat.
And like the other scenes that we'd seen filmed inside, they were doing it forever. Yeah. And this scene that was nothing much to it, really, was that? I know there was a stunt and all that. But I'm going to still say a good 2 hours
at least
that Paddy Beaver and co were filming that, and he was just being pushed backwards and backwards and backwards onto the crash mat, and then they took away the crash mat, and then they did the scenes on the floor, and we just got to see many takes of him walking around the corner.
That's right.
And then there were the members of the public that were there, the actors that were members of the public. At the beginning of the scene, they all had to go and stand off to one side and hide behind the Freshco van so that they could then walk out and go past.
Yeah, it was funny because we had to see them keep hiding around behind a corner, didn't we?
Yeah.
Now, I think this is like the penultimate scene that we saw filmed. There's still one more scene,
and I think it's going to be on Friday next week that we saw filmed. It also had Max in.
And then we will have run out of exciting
filming stories. But yeah, this one was just cool because it felt a little bit sneaky and naughty watching it.
I know.
And I was thinking, all these other people that live in this apartment, do you all just kind of sit and watch Coronation Street being filmed? Well,
no,
like I said, it's because it's only a few times a year they ever actually film there. So I'm very, very lucky to be able to see that. And that was the day after we'd met Paddy Beaver coming out of the studios, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. So it was cool, like, say, we said hello to him yesterday. Anyway.
And he was like, you guys slang me off.
Anyway, poor old Max, he's been bullied because David didn't pick him up from school. Maria finally returns to the barbers later. Max turns up, glares at David, says, "Oh, you're supposed to come and get me. I'm an angry teen." And so they go to the cafe, hear about what happened, and Max says, "Look, I promise I can handle it. I'll be okay. I am not going to snitch on these boys. They're roughy tufty PRU boys. I'm not going to dob them in." And David's still blaming Maria on this because she stopped him from going to collect Max, and she says, "Look, don't give me grief, David. I get enough of this online." Remember that? Maria's being stalked.
She's been on Twitter.
We did suggest that maybe it was Max because she was a bit nasty to Max, a bit dismissive of him earlier in the year. And I think Max even gave her a little bit of a look when she said that. So watch this face there. Anyway, Max says, "Look, it's not Maria's fault. Don't worry about it." So Wednesday, Max gets his school report through the post, and maybe things work differently in the pupil referral unit, but I don't think there's many places that give their school reports like 3-4 years in 3 or 4 weeks into the school term. But hey, what do I know?
Maybe you need to give more feedback for children who are struggling.
Maybe we should. Anyway, David and Shoda are dead proud of him, and he's happy, but he's still worried about these bullies. There's a nice scene with Brian and David later on in the episode where Brian, caring ex-teacher and headmaster, asks how Max is doing, and David says, "Oh, he's doing pretty well actually, but he's worried about the bullies, so I'm kind of thinking maybe we should try and get him back into Weatherfield High." And Brian says, "Oh, I don't know
Brian
about
tries
this."
to subtly tell him that ain't going to happen.
He says, "Oh, yeah, I've been a teacher, I'm in the know about these things."
He wasn't just a teacher.
I know. I have excluded people in the past, says Brian, and these decisions are usually pretty final. But David says, "Hey, it's worth a try." Later on in the episode, Max gets hassled a little bit more. Those two nasty boys follow him down the street, and he sees Maria. And I felt really bad for Max at this point because he's like looking really, not just grumpy. And I am definitely warming to Paddy Beaver's version of Max now because I think there is a nice boy in there.
Yes, a troubled boy.
Yeah, and he sees Maria, and the relief on his face when he sees, like, thank goodness they're not going to hassle me if I'm with Maria. And it's like, "Oh, Maria, hi, how you doing?" And it was all, and Maria's like, What are you doing? Why are you conversing with me? And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll come and see a refugee with you," because that's where her council business is taking her that afternoon. So they go off and see this guy. I can't remember his name, but Max actually had a very nice time with him, and he's going to see him later. So Max has got a new friend here.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Maybe he's going to get his refugee friend to beat up these bullies. I don't know.
I thought it was really weird how they were talking about this kid like, "Oh, it's a refugee. It's a refugee." You know what I mean? It felt a bit like, "Oh, okay, you want me to pat you on the back a bit more."
Yeah.
It's like, if you're going to do this, if you're going to help the refugees individually one by one and go for a celebrationary drink after every single one, it's going to take a while, isn't it?
Anyway, so he's kind of nice at the end of the episode. He's also pretty chuffed to hear that David's trying to get him back into his normal school because he doesn't really want to stay at the school for naughty boys and girls anymore.
Because they're all horrible.
I mean, troubled. Anyway, so that's that.
I don't.
Fairly
Watching
enjoyable.
people get bullied is so horrible, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it is. It is.
Those horrible kids chasing him around and being mean to him.
And it's like I'm kind of thinking, yeah, and Paddy must be doing a good job because I am feeling more sorry for him. Like when Daniel pushed him down the stairs earlier this year, I was like, oh, he maybe deserved that. But now I'm like, oh, give him a break because, as I said, that some of the looks that he gives, it feels like the old Max, because Max was always this little angelic, cherubic, blonde-haired kid, wasn't he? Lovely. And it was only, he was diagnosed with ADHD 5 years ago or so. I don't really believe Harry McDermott's portrayal of ADHD, to be honest. But yeah, I'm now seeing, I think he's hopefully going to come out and he could be a bit of a charmer when he's older. We will see. We will see. Next up, Dad's been a murder, Gemma. What's going on with Stephen and Jenny?
Monday, Jenny's sad, wallowing, eating biscuits. Rita tells her Leo's a coward. Jenny says no, she wants him back, and Rita says he should be consigned to the bin.
There's so many lines that they put in there that it's like, little does Jenny know. It's like, you can maybe ease off it a little bit.
Well, I think it's funny. I think this is, it should be a hint that Stephen's not a serious villain. It's that people keep joking about bins.
Yeah, that's true. When they find out he was actually in a bin, they're going to go,
awkward.
What a coincidence that was. Do you remember I said that?
I said he should get in the bin, and then that's how he died. Daisy's disappointed to hear from Gemma that Jenny has decided that she wants to do the quiz herself. No, that's not right.
No,
Glenda was going to do the quiz. She's all dolled up, and then Jenny rallies and decides she wants to do it. She gets all glittered up. She comes out into the Rovers and she slips over in a wet patch that was caused by Glenda's mopping. And Glenda says, the show must go on, and grabs the mic. We didn't get to see any of the quiz, which was really annoying, apart from a little bit of it, which wasn't really a quiz.
Yeah, I don't think we saw much quiz, but we did get to see other forms of entertainment.
Was it called Jiggy Jig Job?
Tig. We sort of got to see Dev and Mary playing a game of Jig Tig, didn't we?
I've never heard of this before.
I think it was a game that they made up, but it was quite fun. It was Mary river dancing across the Rovers floor while Dev kind of bangers over there.
Yeah.
It was entertaining. But yet again, I think that they mentioned that Glenda had given a bit of an old sing-song.
They always say that she did singing, and we never get to see it, and I'm loving it.
I don't think that Julie Pringer can actually sing. I need to see it, please. Save it for Christmas.
Yeah. Jenny goes to hospital with Daisy because she hurt herself. She's worried everyone thinks she's drunk. Daisy gets a text from Gemma saying that this quiz is going absolutely wonderfully.
No, she doesn't. She gets the text to say it's doing rubbish.
Oh, not
going down well.
Yeah,
and Jenny's like, great.
But it looks like
insert me as quiz mistress.
Either Gemma was lying, or she's not very good at picking up on cues, or Glenda turned it around, because when they get back, everyone's having a brilliant time. Gemma says the take-ins are through the roof. Jenny's furious, obviously, and when Glenda reports back, she smiles through gritted teeth. Jenny also tells Daisy that she reckons Glenda made the floor slippy on purpose so that she could become the quiz queen.
The quiz queen. I enjoyed this. Still enjoying Glenda. I'm not like 100% absolutely loving her, but I'm liking her enough that I'm like happy when she comes on screen, and all the stuff with Jenny was just joyous. I'm
really loving the fact that Jenny and Daisy are kind of like forming an alliance against Glenda just because she's popular, and it sort of reminds me of how my most favourite behind the bar Rovers team was when Fred G was in there being bullied all the time by everybody who all hated him.
Yeah.
Like it was Betty and
Bet
and Annie.
Yeah.
They all hated him, and there was so many rivalries, but they were kind of like good natured. It was kind of good natured to a certain extent.
I mean, Fred was a massive loser, wasn't he?
He was a loser. No, but I mean, I don't think it's completely analogous. But the idea of sniping behind the bar We haven't had that for a long time because there haven't been very many people behind the bar to do it, and they've all gotten along quite well. But Jenny, Daisy, and Glenda are all just being rivals with each other. I think that's kind of fun.
Well, yeah, and it seems fairly clear that Glenda is going to get a long-term job behind the bar.
I don't want them.
Why wouldn't they?
I don't want it to turn into like bullying and squabbling and pettiness, but just that kind of like good-natured sort of.
She's clearly at home there, and Jenny just needs to stop chewing a wasp and admit that, you know, she's could be good for the pub. Wow. But Jenny likes being Queen Bee, doesn't she? Yeah. She sits there on her throne by the bottles, by the spirits at the back, and I don't know whether she's going to have to up her game or what. But there's a good little relationship between the barmaids there, and Daisy, as always, absolutely brilliant. Again, what a turnaround that character has had. I love Daisy right now. Finally, then we've got our double trouble storyline.
This is still not finished. Oh god, yeah.
This is the last one. This has been a super short street talk, Gemma. Ardy tells Dev, look, if you're holding a candle for Bernie, don't give up. It's go for it, boy. I've had my girl abandon me, and I don't want you to lose your chance of a bit of nookie. So Dev goes over to see Bernie, who's midway through bleaching her tash, because why not? And he says, "Oh, Bernie, I've been thinking a lot about you recently. Maybe, you know, babe, we should give it another go." And he gives her some flowers, which are the naffest corner shop flowers ever. And he says that he misses her. And, one thing leads to another, and the next thing that we see, they're snuggled up on the sofa. Gemma comes back and is quite refreshingly happy to see that her mum's back with Devendra, although she won't be cleaning for him, Bernie makes it clear, because that would be weird. Gemma...
Yeah, it would be.
Gemma eyes the bills on the table. Not you, I'm talking about the character, not the real life. She eyes some bills on the table. They're clearly still having money worries at number 5. Later on, when Dev and Mary are playing their jig-tig game, Bernie takes the opportunity, while everyone's focusing on them, to have a secret phone call to Fern, leaves her a voice message saying, I'm not bothered about going to your fancy club, but if you want to play another game of Swapsy anytime soon, Swapsy scam time,
I'm up for a job.
Give me some cash, I will be you, whatever you want me to do. But sadly, because I have been quite enjoying that stuff, we didn't get to see any of it this week, so we'll just have to use our imaginations about what sort of things that Bernie and Fern could be getting
really
up to.
hard.
Yeah, so Bernie and Dev, now a couple. It feels a bit like Chesney and Gemma, where it's been inevitable for many, many years. And now it's like, okay, fine, they're together, whatever. I'm not like mega against it or anything, but I'm also not... I'm not shipping them or thinking, oh, hooray, at long last, this is everything I've always wanted, are you?
Between Dev and Bernie?
Yeah.
I just think that they're not gonna... I kind of like them as friends with benefits more than anything, because I think that they're both... They remind me of like two cats. Like, you can't tame them.
with Dev, it's also like, you know, back in the day when he even got called 00 Dev in one of the scenes this week, but back when he was the real ladies' man, he wouldn't have looked twice at someone like Bernie, so it's kind of nice that he's thought, oh no, actually, I'm not too suave and swish and handsome and whatever for you now. I'll have a tumble with you, and he's kind of, maybe it's bringing him down a peg or two, so it's kind of nice, but... Yeah, well, let's see how it goes. Knowing what they usually do on Coronation Street, we will probably not get to see any more of the pair of them until they split up for whatever reason in a couple of years' time. So anyway, that's that. That is this week's Street Talk. Gemma, what are we scoring this week's Corrie? We had quite a spirited discussion about it.
Well, it's always the same. When we don't like it, we say more. Now... Yeah, talking about it, I have more fond memories about than I did when I actually watched it. I like the summer. I like the brownie storyline because I thought it was funny. I feel like it's been done too many times on Coronation Street now. I don't think we need another one ever again.
Yeah.
I liked. I like the idea of Stu's storyline, but I don't feel like it's ever really gripped me that much. I like having Ken and
it's got
Deirdre
the odd flashes of
Wendy.
greatness. Like, I like the scene with Bridget and Lucy getting home and going, haha, we do know something.
Yeah.
But
I like Jenny and Glenda and Daisy, but there was a lot that was kind of dull this week.
Felt a bit like a down week, didn't it? A bit filler week.
So I'm going to give it 2.5 sexy cyborgs.
Definitely sexy cyborgs, even though neither of us can remember what that's actually a reference to. Because I wrote it down as a
2.5 to me is just like the most average. It's just average. It was fine. There were ups and downs, but
yeah,
it wasn't bad. It just.
I mean, the play stuff. I can't. I'll be generous and give it 2.5. I'm in the back of my head. I'm thinking it felt more like a 2. But I'll give it 2.5 bars of fair trade chocolate out of 5 and leave it at that. Character of the week wise,
can I just say, even if the chocolate was fair trade, were the drugs?
Yeah, were they?
And is that not a good reason to legalise it so that we can get organically grown, fair traded marijuana for our brownies?
Do we have a character of the week this week? I mean, looking at the main stories, it's hard to pick one out of there. I'm kind of maybe erring towards somebody like Ken as the character of the week this week, because he was in throughout the week. I enjoy his character. It was kind of sweet when he admitted his feelings for Wendy, and they were sitting there with their hands together. I mean, we should be like saying, hooray, Alya, for being so determined and not turning her back on it and everything. But I can't bring myself to vote for Alya as character of the week. Yeah, I'm going to go for Ken as my character of the week this week. Choose. Quick, say something before Abby interrupts again.
The Bishop.
The Bishop?
Yes.
Your character of the week is the Stoned Bishop?
Yeah.
Fine, fair enough. Why not?